good, soul family? Thank you so much for being here with me. Man, you have no idea how many of these I started. And then I'm I'm watching my beingness be a little revved up today. And yeah, she's a little crazy. But we're grounding. We're grounding. I think I'm navigating some weirdness as a means of protection, if you know what I'm saying. No, I don't even know what I'm saying, but I'm not gonna restart this again because I'm being an arfing weirdo. And I'm just gonna make peace with it. So welcome, my name is Randy. This is part two to my first video that was titled, "Is this why my emotions have felt so loud my entire life, or my whole life?" And segueing into or relating, I don't know. Forgive me while I get a grip on this gal here. She's really an untamed beast today. No, but thank you so much if you are here with me. I want to thank you in advance for your likes, your subs, your shares, comments. Please know that they are so very appreciated. That is my confirmation that this is being received, and it feels good when you're in a giving to be received. And so if you are receiving, please don't forget to let me know that this has been received. Yeah, so my last video, if you haven't watched it, it's okay. I don't really know if it's necessary. It's about my personal, mainly about my personal journey um of recognizing that I am a highly sensitive being and have high sensitivity, and how it came into my awareness that that's what's up. That's why I felt weird and different and just like really big a lot of my life. And so if you're not sure what we're talking about today, but you resonate with maybe being a highly sensitive individual, or are curious if that's you or a parent or a friend or a lover, or a child, then this is a good place to be. There's documentaries or a documentary about it that I know of that really inspired me to make these videos and create more awareness around it, because I had no idea that I was highly sensitive. I also recognize that a lot of people that navigate addiction, which I have in recent, or I wouldn't say recent, well, depends what we're talking about. Because if we're addicted to sugar, then yes, it was recent past. But if it was drugs, then it was uh, quite a while ago. Unless you consider cannabis a drug, then recent, yes. Um, anyways, yeah, addictive people, or at least those that I have known, tend to be those who are have higher sensitivity. I don't really know if it's a spectrum. That's something that I talked about in the last video as well. I said maybe on the spectrum, but what's come to my awareness and that also feels really important, before we get in as well, I do want to mention that this video, I wrote it down this time simply because I started this like 4 times. So it's really in there now. But I want to talk about becoming aware of high sensitivity, or becoming aware that you or someone you know might be highly sensitive, how to channel it. When I talked about like a spectrum of high sensitivity, and I don't necessarily believe that there is a spectrum now with this new awareness. What I believe to be true is that um, those of us who have suppressed our high sensitivity for a very, very long time have what I call the volcano. And as many of you know, when a volcano erupts, most of the time it's like like I picture the animated cartoon volcano where it just like shoots projectile through the top of the volcano. And the reason I say that is because let's take anxiety as an example. But before I trail off, how to channel it, bring awareness to others, and what a highly sensitive person experiences or individual experiences. And I will be speaking from my own personal experience. This is all very personal experience spoken. I have no PhD, although I have been studying behavior and emotional intelligence for a decade. And I am my greatest study being that I navigated much emotional turmoil in my life. And yeah, I'm just really passionate about bringing people into awareness, perspectives, and being highly sensitive. I've recognized now that it's also a gift. And so, yeah, I want to thank you guys in advance. I think I already said that, didn't I? I can't remember. I did this so many times. Thank you in advance for your likes, your shares, your subs. If I didn't already say that, I really appreciate all of the support you guys give me throughout this journey. It really confirms that, yeah, I already said that. I'm just realizing this. Thank you for your patience. And my cockatoo hair is driving my hood crazy, so I don't know what is up with that, but that's where we are today. And nothing's really making a whole lot of sense, but we're riding this river. Mm, I like the mic there. I hope you guys can hear me okay because I'm quite comfortable with it there. And so, yeah, let's just dive right in. As I was saying, one of the things I noticed is that not knowing that I was highly sensitive made it really difficult because you can't navigate it. But maybe to an extent you do know that you're highly sensitive or you feel big. You just feel a lot and you're like, I know I feel so much and like everybody else doesn't around me, or like why do I feel so much and like nobody understands me, or why are my feelings so loud? And at one point in my life, I chose to shut those off through drug use. I highly do not recommend at all. 222 on the clock, if that resonates for anybody. For those of you that don't know, I am a channel for the divine spirit that lives within each of us. And I just kind of let myself go on these wisdom rants. I think there's a lot more than just me talking in this space. And yeah, there's a lot of sacredness to be shared, a lot of wisdom to be gained, and so that's how these talks go. They are not by any means written dialogue or rehearsed, as I'm sure you've noticed. But just to make sure our expectations are clear. So if you're here with me still and you're going to dive into this topic, I'm really excited to go on this little wisdom rant with you guys. I think there's a lot of beauty and benefit to what's going to be shared today. And so grab yourself a tea, get cozy with a blankie, and let's go on this journey together. And so to carry out what I was saying is let's start with let's start with yeah, okay. So I picked up drugs as a means to suppress my emotions. I realized I haven't been an addict to substances my whole life. I've been an addict to emotional suppression. You know, at the point where you're 16-year-olds old in high school, I didn't see a reason for all of these really big feelings and emotions to exist. They were a hindrance. They made it really hard to stay with an abusive boyfriend. They made it really hard to have an abusive parent. They made it really difficult to navigate another sensitive parent that maybe was trying to do what's best for me, but I was an ignorant little teenager and you know, and so just I I I found a way to shut it up and I shut it up, and I found that when I chose to start doing this drug or drugs consistently, up until I got like fully sober off of any substances, which was when I was 21, so 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, almost 6 years ago. Remember, guys, I'm 72. Age is a lie. Listen to your grandma. Just kidding. But I do. I'm a channel for our elders, our ancestors, whatever you want to call that. Sometimes that higher power is just divine presence that wants to speak to you. And so if this is resonating for you, or if it does, um, yeah, I invite you to be open that this is more than just a fuzzy-headed, silly gal on your screen. And okay, carrying on. See, I can't get in my head. If I get in my head, then I forget what I'm talking about, and things get funny. This pillow wants to frig with my mic. I'm really sorry, guys. I really had difficulties like navigating the channel today, and so that's what I'm trying to get to is that when the channel is suppressed, okay, say this high sensitivity is a channel. If it's been suppressed since you were 16 years old until you're 21, when you open that fire hydrant for the first time in how old was I? I was 16 when I started. 21, I stopped doing hard drugs and like I stopped doing the bad stuff, including prescription, when I was 18. And then, but I did smoke a lot of weed and I drank a little bit here and there, or probably a lot here and there. But not consistently. It was pretty inconsistent. I had, jobs to maintain and I was I was well put together after I got out of drug addiction. However, there were still like party weekends and whatever else. And but I perceived myself as sober, even though I had probably just done weed for the same reason, right? I recognized that it didn't matter whether it was cocaine or marijuana. I did them all for the same reason. And so when I went through a plant medicine journey that was 5-MeO DMT when I was 21, okay, so 16 to 21, what's that? 8? So 8 years. So I had 8 years of this high sensitivity suppression. Okay, that means that I just numbed stuff or quieted it down or tried to make it shut up with cannabis, alcohol, boys. I was drug free at this point in my life, so you find alternatives to try to suppress what you have never learned how to deal with properly. And I think we do that on a very unconscious level and conscious level because societally we don't live, you'll hear me say it all the time, that we don't live in a society that supports us to be emotional beings. It doesn't support us to be non-addicts. It doesn't support us to be healthy, um, well emotionally managed and balanced individuals. It it very much, in my opinion, offers the opposite and feeds the opposite of being stable and centered and happy. And so for 8 years, I suppressed and suppressed and suppressed and suppressed. And then when I ripped the can off of that, or I ripped the lid off that can of worms, simply by being scared into sobriety. And when I say sobriety, it means like I quit all substances, alcohol, marijuana. At that point, there was no hard drugs involved, anyways. So I didn't think it was that bad. However, what I didn't know is that because it was all used for the same reason, what came out and 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 also unaware that I had just been suppressing my emotions for 8 years. What had came out was really dark, really intense, full of anxiety. Um, it just felt really unsafe to be in my own body in a lot of ways. And because I sat with 5-MeO DMT, 5-MeO DMT, and I experienced some very dark things. Um, and this is why I know the intention that you set is what you get. You know, what does God say? Ask and you shall receive. The intention that you set is what you get. And I say that because every single time I've done plant medicine, every single time I set an intention, it manifests. And I've asked for stuff that I wish the universe or God or spirit would have been like, you're not ready for that, honey. Like, you don't want a 10, you want a 5. We'll give you a 5 even though you've asked for a 10. No, no, they don't do that. They give you a 10. And so this experience with plant medicine scared me into sobriety simply because if you do anything, if you smoke weed, if you drink alcohol, um, or any kind of substance, 30 days to 3 months after the medicine, you can still, you can reactivate the medicine. And I was so scared to go back where it took me that I I refused. I refused to put anything in my body because I was so scared. I did not want to go there. I did not want to go back there. It was terrifying. Sorry, I just feel like this could be done better, and I'm not sure why sooner. Dun, 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 dun. Maybe it was me. Maybe I moved the table or something. And so yeah, scared into like full sobriety, and that year of my life, um, yeah, it showed me a lot. It showed me a lot of stuff that I hadn't felt. And because I hadn't felt it all in some time, it was terrifying. And I latched onto a boy. Um, and my relationship then became the drug. And I remember being new into this relationship and just feeling like I can't get enough. Like I couldn't get the fix when I wanted to, and I could not suppress my bullshit when that's all I had known how to do. And and so I don't want to forget that we're here to talk about high sensitivity, but I suppose this is also significant because this is what I experienced. And so if you're somebody who like also resonates with being highly sensitive and has also navigated addiction to some extent, whether it's food or drugs or alcohol or cigarettes. um if you know on some level that you've been suppressing your emotions simply because you've haven't had the resources, tools, or practices to navigate them with ease and with appropriate means of dealing with them. um this is a good place to be. This is a good place to be. So putting these puzzle pieces together for me after watching this highly sensitive, it's called Sensitive, the Untold Story. And it's about a woman that's highly sensitive and how she brings into awareness that there's actually many of us out there, 20% actually of the population, or of both, maybe it's 20% of both species, both men, women, and animals. Something that I recognize as Blue is also a very highly sensitive being. Does he want to say hi? No, we went for a big run this morning and he is, oh, we're snuggled in because it's freezing in here. Got the fireplace on. Um, yeah, and so part of me feels like frustrated that I hadn't known this sooner. However, I also understand that our path is our path for a reason. And the reason I navigated that is so that I can help other people navigating it. And I kind of love that because, yeah, why not? I love that I have the ability to help people out there navigating some pretty extreme difficulty because I myself have been through it, gone through it, and I'm on the other side of it now. And so that seems like a pretty beautiful, beautiful journey, nonetheless. Okay, so and so those are like how I kind of fit my puzzle pieces together of becoming aware of my high sensitivity and then kind of like the unfolding of like, oh, that might be very significant as to why I became an addict. And I wouldn't say that, like, suffering or not, I think I would have become an addict, high sensitivity or not, or would have, explored alternative ways to suppress emotions simply because that's the society that I grew up in and the culture, and like the upbringing. Um, and so that really, that, it all holds some level of like significance as to why it's unfolded the way it has, but um and some of the things that were navigated that I can now relate to being highly sensitive are like getting really overwhelmed in certain circumstances or having like feeling other people's bullshit, and not that it's not bullshit, but I know that people would I recognized at one point, um, after sobriety that like I would have a boss or an employer or like a coworker that would just come and like, unload their shit on me. And I eventually became able to witness like, okay, this is a routine. She does it every morning. And start to kind of prepare myself in a way for it. And so it was almost as if I energetically learned how to put up this wall, not a wall of defense, but a wall where I didn't have to let other people's stuff affect me. And so I think also part of the highly sensitive on a more of a positive note and like I also relate this to being highly gifted and capable to recognize patterns. Oh, do you guys see Blue? He's running. He's running in his dream world. He's going. Oh, yes. I love that. Um, what was I saying? I just love him. I also fear that he's gonna leave Earth soon, so you gotta really love the moments when they're there, you know? Hmm. Oh, where was I? I wish you guys could just remind me. Oops. So, yeah, I suppose. Oh, yeah. So, the more positive sides of being highly sensitive, because I talk about addiction a lot. However, it has been a very beautiful unraveling of currently where I'm at on my path and understanding these parts of me that I've had a lot of shame around. And perhaps that's just what I'm healing right now at this point in my journey, which is why it feels so relevant. But to talk about like the more of the yeah, the gifts and the beautiful sides of being highly sensitive, I recognize a lot of things that other people don't. I feel like that's why I am in the area of focus and career path and business development that I'm in is simply because I can see things beyond, and am able to like weave a web within just having a conversation with somebody, which is what I do with my clients, right? I call them soul sessions, and I don't fully understand why, because it also feels like something that was gifted to me, you know. But from what I do understand is that I am an intuitive healer and I have the capacity and ability to see through people's expressions, to see through the way they speak and their tonality, to identify how they are navigating inside themselves, and to recognize like where compassion is required and when the alternative of compassion is required. Compassion is always required, but you know what I mean? There is a way that I perceive and understand the web of emotions and emotional intelligence and how to get from point A to A, B, C, D, L, M, N, O, P with a lot of ease. And that's just also very significant as to why I share my videos and have opened this space to have these conversations with you guys, because there is so much going on in there that I feel like comes from being highly sensitive, and I feel like that also comes with some level of like high intelligence, because we have the capacity to, or at least I would say I have the capacity to um take in more information, right? And that's kind of what this if you check out the documentary, what was it called? Sensitive, the untold story kind of talks about, is our sensory awareness isn't greater, but it is different, I would say. And so, you know, like some people would look at a glass of water and they would see the glass of water, and I look at the glass of water and I see the bubbles and the the vibrating of the fireplace that it's sitting on coming through the cup. And that's just like a really subtle example. Like, I don't know, it was just, I can see the cup right now and I'm looking at it. And I'm looking at it kind of like the cup's not moving, but the water is vibrating, like just really, really subtly. And so I don't know, this is just how I would perceive my high sensitivity to manifest, is yeah, like I could feel noise. You know, when you plug stuff in, like I can't have a lot of stuff plugged in, because when there's lots of stuff plugged in, I can feel it. I can feel the electricity. Like when we have power outages, I just sit and I meditate for hours and hours and hours because it's so quiet. And I suppose that's a really like fun way to explore whether or not you're highly sensitive is, do you do you feel, well, I mean, I think actually for many people they could relate to this being highly sensitive or not, but you know when you go into the bush and it's just really quiet out there and there's no cell reception and no noise and no, you know, versus when you're in the city and it's just like, and for some it's bearable, but for an individual like myself that would identify as highly sensitive, city, I can be in a city for about a week, 2 weeks if I am consistently going into nature. daily, and meditating consistently. And so, yeah, sometimes, and I mean, yeah, there might be differences for everybody. I'm speaking from personal experience, but these are just some things in how I would relate and um yeah, bring awareness to myself of these subtle sensitivities, and even, to extend this even farther. When I was working in a daycare, I had an individual or a child, a couple of them actually. One, I think there were four, they're three or four, maybe almost five, and one of them would get really upset if their sleeve got bunched up in their sweater. You know when you go to put your arm through your jacket and your sleeve goes all the way up? He would get really upset about that. And I think that's just because he's a highly sensitive being. And maybe I should even like reach out to the parents and be like, "Hey, I discovered this thing about me, and I relate to your child a lot, and I feel for what they feel. And maybe it's worth looking into this because it doesn't, there's so many things out there where it's like, oh, they're diagnosed with this, this, this. And I think a lot of us that are diagnosed with this, that, and the other are actually just sensitive, gifted individuals without the ability to channel our gifts because we don't live in culture or society that supports the positive and beneficial aspects of having these differences. And so I have to sit up because I'm slumping into the couch. Oh, um, and so let's segue into that channeling. Sorry, I'm gonna hide Blue because I need to put these legs up. God bless you. Ah, sorry, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to yell at you. Um, yeah, channeling. I think channeling can happen in various ways. I feel like one of the greatest ways for me to channel is through my voice. Up until I started making videos, I would sit on the phone and just like yap my mom's ear off or a friend's ear off. And when I finally felt like seen and heard, I would recognize this pattern where I would just like bleh, unload. And as soon as I started doing these videos and just like letting myself talk about stuff, because I feel like that's how I process a lot of things. I feel like that's how, um, like I love it. I love to hear myself talk. I don't know why, but I really feel like it's part of, my purpose. It's part of what I'm here to offer to the world is my voice and what comes through it. And I understand that's not for everybody, and that's okay. At the end of the day, it's for me because I realize when I don't do it, I feel like an overflowing cup of words and thoughts and different branches of thoughts to one really big tree, and there's just like so much that goes on in my brain all day, and so it just feels really good for me to channel it somewhere. Because I feel like there's a lot that goes on in there, whether it's intellectual, like I'm learning, I love learning every day. I watch maybe a documentary a day. I listen to a couple podcasts a day. Like I'm always just like sponging new information. And then I correlate it as to like what I'm navigating and moving through, and so yeah, it's great. But I need to channel it. I need somewhere for it to go because yeah, I think we all have a channel. And if you feel like you have an area of your life where you're like, oh, this could be, there's got to be a better way to navigate this overflowing part of my life. It's probably because it's part of your purpose. And ain't nothing supposed to hold you back, including you. And if you do try to hold you back, then you're just gonna piss off your mom because you need a stage, not your mom's speakerphone in the living room. You know what I mean? Um, and so the channeling of it is okay. So say you're recognizing that you're highly sensitive and you're like, okay, wow, this is all making a lot of sense for me. And you love to paint, or you love to draw, or you love to just go on nature walks, or you love to sing, or you love to talk people's ears off about all kinds of crazy nonsense, like myself. Or you love to share information about certain topics, or you love tarot reading, or you love talking to God. Excuse me. Um, Whatever it is, that is your channel. And don't get me wrong, we can have various channels, but I know for certain that this is like the one. And I also am a DJ. I also produce music. I'm a closet music producer, so don't ask me for my stuff because it's all unreleased. Um, I'm actually doing my first show in February as a DJ. However, I won't be playing any original tracks yet. I'm not quite there. Anyways, I also love to paint. If you've seen my cozy corner up in the loft, I have tons of paintings up there. And in those videos, all of which I've done myself, and it's like this high sensitivity or emotion that just needs to be expressed through me. Expression, it's like the art of expression. It just, whatever your art of expression is valid as long as it's not harming anybody, which I think is probably not. um I shouldn't say that. If you're expressing yourself in an appropriate way through the means of art or creativity, then it's good. Your creativity is what you're here to bring to the world. And I feel like if we were all just in our creative little bubbles expressing ourselves and how we feel, whether that's sad or happy, like there is some resonance to the world needing it in some way, shape, or form. Even if it is absolutely devastating music because you're expressing sadness. It all has a place. I love my sad music because when I listen to my sad music, it helps me feel sad when I've been addicted to suppressing my emotions my whole life. Huh, imagine that. So, our creativity is the route in which we help others open up with themselves. And for those of you that have been with me and are with me and continue to support me and come here and snuggle up in my cozy little corner and allow me to ramble your ear off, you know that this is my expression. And if you're benefiting from it, then that's great. That's what I'm here for. And that's what creation is for, right? Is for us to really help each other even in ways that we don't even fully understand. Um, and that's really beautiful. And so find what you love to do. And it doesn't have to be any direct way. I love to do tarot as well. I have cards. Maybe we'll pull a couple cards just for the fun of it because there's always messages that want to come through that are in relation to what we're talking about, and I love that. I love when spirit is like, "Wha-bam. Yes, ma'am. We are awesome. And we're in this conversation with you." And so maybe I will do that actually. I'll grab my cards in just a moment. And so that's how I would say to channel it, is to find what you love and exercise that more often. And even if it is talking like a madman into a microphone, if you're not quite comfortable to share it yet, that's okay. It doesn't have to be shared. Like, You have no idea how many recorded videos and like voice memos I have been recording for like years and years and years, and I just started unleashing into the world my voice when I've been like doing it behind the scenes for many years. And same thing with like DJing. I've been a closet DJ for 6 years and maybe even longer, like 8 years. Mm, yeah, no, I would say six, maybe seven. And I'm just doing my first show in February. So it's not for anybody else. It's not for the public eye if that's not where you're at. It's for you. It's for you to express how you're feeling and let it exist in whatever capacity. And I feel that is one of the greatest ways to channel our high sensitivity and actually start to use it as a gift, right? It's almost like if we're not using it, it's using us. And and as I've said before, if you don't channel, it's like a fire hose. If you don't channel the fire hose and give it direction, just like the monkey mind also needs direction, then it's just gonna be a out of control monkey fire hose. You know what I'm saying? So you got to channel it, find direction, give it direction. You're like, oh, I love to journal. Like, let's journal more often. Oh, I love this. And it's something so funny because I don't know if you guys know Bashar. Um, what's his name? Oh, I know Bashar's name, but I don't know the other guy's name. I know his face. Anyways, I love them both. If you guys don't know Bashar, he's far out for some, but for me, like I've been in divine connection and one-on-one conversations with spirit and many other gods and deities and ascended masters and non-ascended masters. Like if I want to talk to somebody, I have that direct contact. And so for me, it's not that far out. That's my spiritual place, my beliefs. Um, yeah, I accept teachings. I don't care if they have a body or not, and or if they're human or not. And and so Bashar is one of those individuals, and he talks about how really at the end of the day, like all we need to do is follow our passion. And if we just followed our passion, like it would feed us, it would support our emotional well-being, and he doesn't, I don't know if he says this directly. I've watched so many of his videos. My brain's a little bit flooded with all the information, but in a general sense, that is what I've taken from it. And I found it to be more than true throughout my own journey and self-discovery process. And so, Bashar, Bashar, if it feels like something you want to open a can of worms and discover a new dimensional reality in which you have full access to, hey, what's you smelling? Yeah, give her a go. And just to keep myself on track here a little bit, bringing awareness to others about high sensitivity. Yeah. Yeah, I think like us high sensitivity people are the people who would claim to have OCD. Oh, wow. Yes. Because we have hyper perception, hyper sense of awareness. And maybe not for all of us, I would say though. But like maybe, yeah, maybe all of us that are just like, oh, I have OCD, oh, I have ADD, oh, I have ADHD, are just like high sensory beings um that are trying to compress our high sensitivity into a little teacup when we are the ocean. Ah, and I think that's a great place to end, a great note to end on is that be the motherfucking ocean. Be the ocean. You are not a teacup. You aren't supposed to fit in a teacup, no matter what the outside world has told you or what they say or blah, blah, blah. You're the ocean. And it's time to stop pretending that you're not and trying to shrink yourself into some idea of like not being the whole ocean and just accept the fact that we are the chosen ones. And when I say we, I mean all of us that are existing in this time and reality, sensitive or not. We are the chosen ones. We have all been chosen to be here. And you're a goddamn ocean. You hear me? So it's time to act like it in the most fun, playful, appropriate, beneficial for all of humanity and all involved. Because I think that is what actually fucked me up the most. Pardon my French. I don't know why I've been swearing so much lately, but I'm noticing it across like all of a lot of YouTubers and peeps in life. We're all just like letting our potty mouth fly. But it feels relevant, right? Like we're in this time of need for expression, and maybe that's just it, is like now we're at this time in life, this time in human press where we're prophetic. We're at this prophetic time in human history where what has been suppressed can no longer be suppressed. And maybe those of us that are highly sensitive, right? And I've said this to many people before. Maybe I've said it in some of my videos. Those of us that are highly sensitive are the ones that can no longer suppress the lineage of suppression. And if you're not following what I'm saying, is that if your mom and dad have suppressed and their grandparents suppressed and their grandparents and mother and father and mother and father and grandparents and grandparents, and they're down this long line of like emotional suppression, us beings that feel so big and so loud are the ones to break the chains of this rhythm that is no longer serving humanity in any way, shape, or form. Like it's time for us to feel so we can heal. And that requires some bold, courageous steps forward to be the goddamn ocean you are. And don't get me wrong, I know it's scary. You're watching it right now. You're watching one who identifies as an ocean, who has tried to fit herself into a teacup most of her life, now unravel the ocean, and it's crazy. It's crazy, it's intense, it's uncomfortable, it gives me anxiety, but you got to choose your hard. And one of the things that came through to me today while I was sitting in the sauna suffering with anxiety, so much so that I could hear my heartbeat. It was just like, why? Why? And I was like, Spirit, help. Because that's something I'm learning to do more often, is you don't have to wait for it to get really hard to ask for help. You don't have to wait for it to, like, we can ask for help all the time. Ask and you shall receive. Like, they're waiting. You have a whole team up there that's just waiting to support you. But if we don't ask, how can they help us? And so I was like, Spirit, help, help, help. And I kept trying to like refine the way I was asking for help and support. And what came through was, what do you want? Why do you want it? And that just repeated in my head. What do you want? Why do you want it? And it really was like a breakthrough moment where I was just like, I want inner peace. I want heaven on earth. And it's like, why do you want it? And until I got to the point of like getting angry at this question, like, why do I want it? being like, because I do not ever want to feel this way in my effing life ever again. Because I will not suffer like this for another goddamn day, another minute. Pardon my goddamning. But you almost have to get to that point in yourself that you like snap in a really good way where you're just like, this is gonna make me or break me. And I'm not gonna live my life this way. Not another fucking second. And when we make that decision inside ourselves, it's almost as if we end the voluntary suffering in the mind. And that doesn't mean that there's work to be done and tools to be exercised and practiced and a path to walk, but to make a decision is, I think it's Latin, translating to translating to cut off from. So when you make the decision to do something, you cut off from all other roads, all other alternative choices that were available. And so I made this decision inside myself, and my freak flag has really been flying since then. And it's been uncomfortable. But there's something inside of me that knows that it's a discomfort that I need to navigate, and a level of sacrifice that is required of momentary comfort and instant gratification, for long-term fulfillment, not just in my world, but in many others, because I will have the capacity and ability to bring forward into the world. Well, I don't know where I just went, but I'm back now. And thank you all so much for being here. Again, thank you so much for your likes, your subs, your comments. I really do appreciate it. If you resonate with this, please do drop me an emoji in the comments. It means so much. Let's make today's emoji. Hmm, a rainbow. Yeah, let's make it a rainbow because we are a full spectrum of emotions. We are a full spectrum of colors. We are a full spectrum of beingness, and there really is no right or wrong way of feeling and expressing unless it hurts somebody. But if it's not hurting anybody, and it's just to help you feel better, and not in an instant gratification way, but in a real way, then it's absolutely necessary. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. For those of you that are leaving me comments, I really, really appreciate you writing me it and all the details. Like, please do. Expression is fully allowed in this space on my channel. This is a safe space, and so if you ever want to share something or have something that you want to share with me more privately, you can feel free to send me an email as well. My emails are always down below. My website is coming soon, where you will be able to book private personal readings, and as well as if you do want to support me on this journey, you can buy me a coffee below. My PayPal account is linked. And yeah, I just thank you guys so much, all of you that are commenting. And please do know that I will get back to your comments. Every Saturday is when I do my commenting replies, just because otherwise it consumes all parts of my time off, and that's not healthy for me and my phone usage. So Saturdays are my reply days now, just to give me a little bit of boundaries around, yeah, coming into this space and developing this community with you all. Um, Thank you so much. I love you guys. I hope you have a blessed rest of your day. Blue is sending you off with a fart because he's just farted. Thanks, buddy.